You can search for the perfect looking golf swing all you want, but if it's not creating a straight ball flight or the desired ball flight, then why are you working on it? Hello everyone, and welcome back into the Blow Part podcast today with myself, Joe. And hello Joe, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
I was going to say, it does feel a long time since we last sat here.
Yeah. Well, we've been busy out on the golf course. Now we can get out there.
We have. This is very true. And I hope that everyone listening has managed to get a chance to get out and play as well. I know obviously the weather's not great today, but it's certainly been that week of sunshine we had.
Oh, it has been. It has been amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, let us know in the comments where you've played. I've played some, you would have seen on Instagram, New Zealand yesterday. That's, if you ever get the opportunity to play at New Zealand, it's unlike anywhere else I've ever played. It's the flattest golf course I've ever played. Every hole is kind of on its own. So every green you walk off of towards the next tee, you've got a new hole totally separate. You're walking through a hedge, which you can't see from the other holes. And it's really cool. Good.
I have to admit, talking about flat golf courses, Ilkley Golf Club is going to be one of the flattest golf courses you've ever played. And also, it's amazing. So I think this is pretty impressive. In a one ball, I can get around Ilkley in about 2 hours, 15 minutes. In a four ball, it takes about 3.5 hours. It just doesn't take very long to get round, but it's a really nice walk and it's in good nick. It's great.
Perfect. Well,
because if you get some courses, you know this.
Listeners.
Well, yeah, exactly. The Yorkshire listeners can come and have a game, but you know that there are golf courses that you can go and play, and it takes 4.5 hours, even if you speed it.
Yeah. Just slogs of walks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I reckon, I've worked it out, I reckon it's the difference between green and tee.
Yes, definitely.
It's that long walk between green and tee that really slows it down.
Yeah. And, well, the quality of golf you're playing as well. Sometimes, you know, the games of golf where you're in play off the tee every time, regardless of whether you hit a good tee shot or not, if you walk straight to your golf ball every time on a whole 18-hole game, saving so much time there.
Well, that's true. Especially you don't have to look for one. I mean, we're quite lucky at Ilkley. There's not much rough. They've kind of shaved all the rough down. It's just there's a lot of trees. So you tend to find it rather than searching in long grass. Because, I mean, links courses, I think, take a long time because you're constantly searching around in the grass, or I am at least. Yeah. Which that kind of brings us on to our subject of the day, doesn't it? Which is, do you really need golf lessons?
Well, I think we'll leave the moral of the story towards the end of when we're recording, but we'll just discuss maybe some common phrases that we hear. Oh, well, I don't need lessons.
Yeah.
I just get around the golf course and that's the way it is. Self-taught. Now, fine. And actually, I did a lesson this morning with a young chap, and he hasn't had a lesson for 4 years. And he hits the ball okay, but there's some things in there that he didn't quite understand. I think the first point that I'd like to make about lessons is you're not always going to get instant results.
Mm-hmm.
You might sometimes. It's more common than you might think. But from lessons, the most valuable thing that you can get or gain is the understanding.
Yeah, agreed.
As soon as you have the understanding, then you can crack on from there.
I was going to say, I mean, just following on that point, I think a really key one on that is how many times do you teach somebody face and path and they start to understand, even if it's just the reasons why they hit the shots they hit currently. They come in and say, look, I'm hitting a hook and I also hit a block or a push. And you go, well, actually, this is meaning that your path's heading to the right and the face either matching it or it's closing to it. And sometimes closing to the target as well to get that pull hook. And suddenly they're going, oh, right, that makes sense. So you can already now understand that in order to change that golf swing, you've got to change your face and path relationship.
Yeah, 100%. So understanding is the first thing that I say to most people. Let's say someone comes into the pro shop and says, thinking about lessons, but I hit the ball okay, but, you know, I don't think lessons are necessarily for me. Well, you don't know until you try, to start with.
That's true.
But understanding the amount of people that say, oh, I'm self-taught, I try this. But then when you break it down and you spin it on its head a little bit, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but I'll come back to me on that. But basically what I'm trying to say is they're trying to do something which does kind of create what they're trying to do and gets them around the golf course, but going to someone that is qualified to coach will maybe explain it to you in a very different way and explain why what they're saying is happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time also you've got to remember that, if we use guys like myself and Joe, for example, so obviously we've done our PGA qualifications, you've trained to teach this. So you're trained to help be able to break it down so it's really simple. And I always go back to, and whenever I'm explaining something to somebody, I'll go, look, essentially what I'm doing is like a golf swing MOT. It's like an MOT for your car. I run through every single step. I'm making sure that everything's in the right spot and I'm trying to understand how it works. Then I try and pick out what's a swing fault and what's a swing characteristic. So what causes an issue or what actually is just a characteristic of your golf swing. And then all you want to know is that your headlight's out and actually I'm going to help you put a new bulb in there. Now we'll pass MOT and you can play good golf again.
Yes.
And that's all that, that's all that a pro swimmer is trying to do. We're not always trying to build you a brand new golf swing. I know a lot of people are really worried about that. And I don't think many pros these days, certainly guys coming through, we're not there to completely rebuild and reshape something if it doesn't need it.
No.
You only had to watch the match with McIlroy, Fowler, Wolf, and Dustin Johnson. And everyone talks to us about top positions and that you probably get the same during a golf lesson. Look at those four guys at the top of the backswing and tell me that one of them's better than the other, one of them's right.
Oh,
you can't.
You can. One thing, and hopefully I word this really, really well, and we can clip this up for the intro. You can search for a good golf swing. Sorry, you can search for the perfect looking golf swing all you want, but if it's not creating a straight ball flight or the desired ball flight, then why are you working on it?
Yeah, and I think, I've had experience of this in the past. I've had people that come to me for lessons and they say, I want my golf swing to look like this. And I say, that's fine, but making it look like that doesn't mean it's going to work. It might look really pretty.
Yeah.
It's like an F1 car without an engine. Looks great, but it's not going to go winning you any F1 titles. But actually, it's the engine. It's the way the thing works that's really important. So I'm a big believer that when you're working with somebody, you're trying to get them to hit a shot really well, a shot that they can hit over and over again. If it's a little fade, little draw, whatever. And it's then a case of adding in the extra bits. So the idea is you get them hitting the ball better than they've ever hit it before. Then we'll work on the short game. Then you get the short game really good. They're obviously still hitting the ball really well. Then the putting's really good, chipping, putting. Suddenly this person's handicap comes tumbling. And, that's what you kind of want from golf lessons. Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are scared about golf lessons because they see these swings on TV and think that's all we're trying to aim for. We're not. We're trying to make your golf swing work the best it can. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that want rebuilds, and that's fine. If you say you want your golf swing rebuilt and you're going to practice it, great.
That's where the next point comes in for me is we're under no illusion that the videos that I've done recently and the videos that Lovery's done recently, we're under no illusion that that's the full package. Like we're not putting those, for example, the long bunker shot that I put out the other day, whatever it might be, that is the way I like to play it. The way that most people would say is the technical way to do it, but that's not the full package. Let's say somebody watches a video on YouTube on how to cure their slice. Mm-hmm. Now, the most common thing, I don't think we've done a video on that. I think you did.
I don't think I have, no.
But
no, I didn't upload it, did I? In the end, I deleted it.
Of course. So let's say, okay, how to cure a slice, swing a little bit more from the inside. Okay, that's fantastic. But there's a million and one ways to describe that to a golfer.
Of course,
and the way that it's described on YouTube is is factually correct. But I can guarantee you, for the guys that get loads and loads and loads of views, a high percentage of that demographic will not be able to hit the positions that is being spoken about, if that makes sense. So that's where it links into one-to-one and having the knowledge of physical limitations, for example. So let's say, for example, the wall drill, where you're trying to get that club running down the wall and shallow in that club. Now, if you're unable to complete, I don't know, the 90-90 test and you're I don't know, I find it difficult, but if you're only able to get to here,
you're not going to be able to get there, are you?
You're struggling, aren't you? So really,
I mean, also, adding in with that if you then do manage, so let's say, for example, you can't get to 90-90, but then you tip your back and stand up and suddenly you can get to 90-90, actually you've introduced a bigger fault than perhaps what it was you were searching for in the first place.
Well, there you go. And I think that's the underlying thing that we're trying to get to here is, yes, golf lessons are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, YouTube will help, but one-to-one is the ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've always found this really interesting. I was having quite a long discussion with somebody the other day about how, let's say, for example, I mean, they're a keen cyclist, so love their cycling. He was saying to me that on a bike, he could go out and cycle 100 kilometers, and before he started to the end, he'll have got better at cycling by the time he finished. Every single time, he's got better because he's got fitter, because he's done it again. If he's fallen off, that's fine. It's a learning curve. Right, why did I fall off? What was the reason? What happened? If he had the wrong gear for a hill, he's learned that. He can change the settings on his computer system. You know, there's so many different things that he can learn from during that. Now, with golf, yes, people say you learn every time. But actually, if you were to stand on a practice ground for 3 weeks, I could promise you that some people would not actually get any better during those 3 weeks. And this is the amazing thing with golf. You could go and play golf for years, and some people will not get better. It might actually be the other way. They might actually get worse. And how often do you see that with somebody, let's say, that shanks the golf ball? That's a really easy one because it's a shot that you can recognize and it's a strike you can recognize. So shanking, obviously hitting off the heel. How many times you get it? Somebody starts with one shank, and next you know, before they know it, they've got the shanks completely, and they shank it for week after week. And until they have a golf lesson, they don't get rid of the shank.
Yeah, exactly. But on the flip side to that, you'll get golfers that won't have a lesson, have maybe picked up a golf club 1 or 2 times before, made contact with the golf ball. And if you stood them out on a practice range without any assistance, just gave them a bucket of balls every day for 3 weeks, they would get better.
Yeah.
Because the hand-eye coordination's there, but you've got to be a certain type of person to do that. But also with those people with plenty of hand-eye coordination, really when you're doing that, all you're doing is training ball strike.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. Obviously, you're going to get the odd person, yes, that gets better. It'd be interesting to see that more in a long-term scenario. So like, yes, you know, I could go and play squash. I'm probably going to get better the first 2 weeks to go and play squash because I'm going to start hitting the ball better. I'll start timing better with the backhand. But if I then played for 3 months after that, I might not get much better than what I did during those first 3 weeks. I might find that actually my technique limits my ability to hit the shot off the back wall. So, you know, in golf, for example, you could stand there and hit loads of balls out of bunkers off lovely lies. But actually, when you get on the golf course and don't get as good a lie, your technique might not live up to that.
Yeah.
And it's not consistent enough then to get the ball out. And you might get yourself a more. And this is, I mean, it's the amazing thing with golf is it's such a diverse game, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got tee shots, you've got approach shots, you've got long iron shots, you've got wedge shots, you've got chipping around the green, you've got flop shots, punch shots, shaping the ball, high, low. Like there's so many different aspects that you've got to go through in order to have a rounded game. Putting, I didn't even mention that. All these things to think about. And I think we've gone a little bit off topic with that. But there's all those aspects that if one of them's weak, it will show up in your golf game. And the people that kind of sit there and go, oh, I don't need golf lessons. It's almost like it's a bit of a shame because there's so many good people out there that can help you for really not very much money, and they'll help you and then you'll enjoy your golf more. I mean, if you're somebody that's shooting above 100 every time and you're like just getting frustrated with it and losing loads of golf balls, go down to your local pro, spend 30 quid, however much it is for an hour, and go, great, you know, suddenly I'm going to hit it a bit better. And, you know, then you're going to enjoy your golf more as well.
100%. Yeah.
But you're completely right. There are going to be people out there that don't want golf lessons. And I can see it, but it's like me trying to learn a foreign language without going having lessons. It's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
And I'm actually probably going to miss a few of the basics that would give me that basic understanding to help learn faster in the long run.
Yeah. So I think that covers it really well. And for anyone that is in that limbo period, let's call it, there's your local PJ pros everywhere. There's PJ pros everywhere to help you with the game. But if you're in the county of Yorkshire, go and see Joe. And if you're county of Berkshire, come and see me, or surrounding areas. But other than that, there's PJ pros everywhere. But they will always be there, someone there to help you. Whether you're a beginner or someone that's been playing for 40 years and never had a golf lesson, there is always something that can be done.
Yeah, and I think actually that's a really interesting point. Is a lot of the time you get somebody that's been playing for quite a few years and thinks, "Oh, I can't change what I'm doing." And like I promise you, you can. You know, you don't drive a manual car all your life and then get an automatic when you're in your 60s and go, "Oh, I couldn't drive that." So there's no reason why you couldn't then change your chipping technique. It might just take a little bit more practice. And I mean, there's the other sort of myth in and around golf lessons that you'll get worse before you get better.
Not
And
necessarily.
that's not always strictly true. I've had it numerous times with short game, people with doing short game, you change the technique slightly and suddenly they're popping the ball up over the bunker and they're like, "Oh, this is great. Like, this is so much easier." And then they come in and they're like, "Oh, I chipped in today." And you think, brilliant.
Do you know what? Short game lessons for me are the most rewarding, because
Absolutely.
you see more often, you see instant results.
Yeah,
And
you're right. You're right.
and you have that, you have that, it sounds kind of cheesy, but you have that moment with the person that you're helping, and they just look at you and think, right, okay. And you can see like the excitement of, okay, well, when I'm on the golf course, I'm not fearing, I don't know, chipping over a bunker. I'm not fearing dunching it in the bunker.
And let's be honest, is that not the reason why we golf coach?
What is that?
You golf coach to see the other person get better and see them starting to get excited about the game. And that for me is everything. If I can teach somebody a technique that makes them enjoy their round a little bit more, makes them look forward to playing, makes them book let's say book around a golf for their grandson, anything along those lines, that is completely worth it. That's exactly what I want. I want people to come, have a lesson, find that they get a lot better, get some confidence back, and then actually want to go and use it on the golf course.
1,000%.
Which I think is a really key message.
Yeah. And I think that pretty much clears up should you, well, I think we're going to title this, what, do you really need golf lessons? And the answer is yes, but it's up to the golfer. Not everybody's going to have golf lessons, and that's totally up to you. Now,
I mean, it's beneficial, isn't it? It's beneficial, but
it is. This is what this might be perceived as is two guys that coach, PJ qualified, or well, a couple of months away for me. But what I don't want this podcast to be is, it's just two pros trying to just plug the fact that coaching's a necessity. But that doesn't get away from the fact that it is important to have. And it's really helpful. But up to you. And if you're someone that really doesn't like the sort of one-to-one aspect of coaching, find a group lesson. There's group lessons everywhere.
I was going to say, I mean, the only thing perhaps that why somebody, let's say, wouldn't want a golf lesson is either they're quite happy with the standard they're at the moment, so they're not necessarily wanting to get better, or they're happy with the progress they're making, which again, like,
it's a hobby.
Is absolutely fine. And and I mean, I say this to a lot of people that I coach. I sort of say to them, you've got to let me know what your aim is. So if they want to just shoot their handicap week in, week out, hit the ball a bit straighter, we're not going to give you a practice plan saying this or that. And there is the odd person that comes for the odd one-off lesson, and that's it. They want to sort this one bit of the game. Great. And, don't get me wrong, there are people that have been on YouTube tips, and that tip has worked really well for them. We've had it in our comments where you get somebody that goes, "This is amazing. You fixed my golf swing. Great." Fine. I'm not here to say, yes, you need this or need that.
Yeah. And if it didn't,
be the pros and cons.
If we really felt the YouTube tips didn't work, we wouldn't be doing them.
Well, no, exactly. No, we've discussed that before, haven't we? The fact that we're only here to try and make useful content, not stuff that actually is a waste of time.
If you're a hobby golfer, like Joe says, if you're a hobby golfer and you're not looking to enter competitions, you're happy with the way you get the ball around the golf course, you're happy with your technique, and it's not causing too many issues, then no, golf lessons aren't a necessity. But for the wide demographic, especially the competitive people that want to go and beat their mates and whatever it might be, then it is a necessity. So I think we can pretty much wrap it up there. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Lovery, I have a feeling want to say something before we end.
Yeah, I was just going to say really quick. So just talking about wanting to beat your mates and things. So my brother luckily doesn't watch these. I play a lot of squash against my brother. Basically, I'm booking in for squash lessons secretly that he doesn't know, with the idea of I've not beaten him yet, which is obviously, as you imagine, very annoying. We've played a lot of squash together. So the aim is I'm going to go and have all these secret squash lessons, and I'm going to play him again and hopefully win. And I'm doing it to see the look on his face. So that's a nice goal. But if a lot of people are in that boat, and you can keep it quiet. It doesn't have to be shouted everywhere.
Well, that's it. Seek help. If you feel like you need it, seek help. Whether that's the competitive aspect, whether that's with your mates, competitive aspect, whether you're competitive within yourself, whether you want to get the best that you possibly can in any hobby that you do, whether you want to take it seriously or not, whatever it might be, it's beneficial for some. Beneficial for most, not so beneficial for some. I think that's the best way to wrap it up. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Podcasts are coming out every Friday now, whether it's a shorter clip, longer clip, we can't tell you for sure, but it will be podcast based on Fridays. We will be uploading Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays and Sundays, whether it be, I know, 5 videos a week, 1 podcast and 4 either tips, reviews, whatever it might be, something along those lines, and every time at 6 o'clock in the evening. So hopefully you enjoy, and we will see you all very soon.